Now today we're going to make a wonderful dish, malo lettuce assa campidanese. And to do it, we have to start with malo lettuce. Now here it is, the way you would get it in Sardinia. You see how tiny it is? You want to make sure that you start with a pot that has at least 4 to 6 quarts of boiling water. And for every 4 quarts, you need a tablespoon of salt. You hear that? You put the salt in after the water comes to a boil, not before, otherwise you'll be waiting forever. Now we put in the malo lettuce, and we give this a stir. You want to stir the pasta around. Anytime you start pasta in boiling water, you want to give it a stir, and then we're going to put the cover back on. And we do that just to allow the water to come back to the boil. When the water comes back to a boil, we'll take the cover off and let those cook until they are al dente. You'll have to help me keep an eye on that. Now here we have some sausage, salsicce, that we're going to use in the sauce with the malo lettuce. And that's been browning in a little bit of olive oil. So now I want to take this out. So we're going to put the sausage in a bowl, and this sausage is flavored with a little bit of fennel. And I'm going to leave the drippings in the pan. You want about a teaspoon or so of the drippings from the sausage. And we're going to be using plum tomatoes. Now, we have to skin these, and to do that, I put them in boiling water. I leave that there for a few minutes, and the skins will come off very easily. So now while we're waiting for that to happen, in that same pan, we need some garlic. So here we have 3 cloves of garlic that we've minced up. And then with that, we need some fennel seeds. And this comes from the fennel plant. And I like to put the seeds into a spice mill. You need about 1 to 2 teaspoons. This has kind of a licorice flavor. Gives a nice taste to this dish. And then I get these seeds all ground up because that really releases the oils. Well, let me see how that looks. Whoa, I got a little bit on myself. So now I'm going to put that in and mix that around with the garlic. Now let me see about my tomato. I think I can take that out. You want to take the tomato out when the skin starts to crack a little bit. So here's mine. And then just take a knife. Oh, maybe this isn't ready yet. There we go. Just take a knife, and you see how easily that skin just peels away. And you know what? I hear my pot over here, so now I've got to take this cover off. Whoa! We want those to cook al dente. All right, now we have our tomatoes in. And did I tell you that every bride-to-be in Sardinia used to have to know how to make at least 3 kinds of pasta by hand? Today, malo lettuce are pretty much bought in a store. Okay, now with the tomatoes, we also need dried tomatoes. And here we have just dried plum tomatoes, that same tomato that I cut up fresh. We want some bay leaf, a little bit of salt, and a little bit of pepper. Stir that around. We've got to cook this down for about 15 minutes. And then we want some basil. And here we have fresh basil leaves, and we want to just mince those up. And so I take a bunch of the leaves, roll them up like a cigar, and then if you just cut across, you see, you can do something which is called a chiffonade of fresh basil. And that goes in. Now, we give this a stir. Doesn't that look good? We're going to put the sausage in later. Put this cover on, and we let that cook for about, 10 or 15 minutes. And now you want to make sure you take most of the water off the pasta, not all of it, because you want a little bit of that water to help mix the sauce. And we need to put this into our bowl. You see how beautiful that comes out? That's because we used enough water to cook the pasta, so it doesn't stick. You never ever put oil in water when you're cooking pasta. So now we toss this well, and we turn off the heat, and we add this wonderful sauce. right over the top, just like that. We don't want to take that bay leaf out because we don't want anyone to choke on that. And then give this a wonderful toss. When I was with Mario in Sardinia, we went to a restaurant called Ciao Italia, and this was the first course. Isn't this beautiful? It's so colorful, and it reminds me so much of all the fresh ingredients that you find in Sardinia. Because porcedu, pork, is another very important product, and you see we have sausage in this dish. Now you take the dish that you're going to serve this on and put on all of the malloredos, just like that. And then at the very end, we want to give this some cheese. Now let me show you what I'm using. Pecorino cheese. That's a sheep's milk cheese. And we give that a nice sprinkling over the top. So, there you have it. Malloredos a sa campidanese. Now, doesn't that look great?